to murder and everything else. My name is Joy.
And my name is Cheryl, and Joy and I are two very old friends who are going to talk about murder and everything else. So, Joy, I have something very important to talk to you about. It's so
I can't
serious.
wait.
For women, this is very serious.
I can't wait.
Bangs, bangs or no bangs. So,
I'm I'm a big bangs girl.
I know you are, but sometimes isn't there a meme that was like that says something like um I don't know, like think think before you get bangs or something like that. I always used to wear bangs when I was young, and I don't
Hmm.
have bangs now, and I feel like I need them to soften. Like I want to hair. It's getting warm, so I want to wear my hair off my neck, but it looks so stark just to have everything pulled back. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so. But then, so I told you I was going to do it a few weeks ago, and then I thought I'm going to grow my hair out. I have no now. I don't know what to do. Can you? Can anybody write in? Can we take a
Well,
vote? They don't
let me
even know what
just
it looks like.
how about this? How about if you leave out a couple of like little wisps in the front and then they kind of like, you know, frame your face a little bit and
I did
then
I
you
did
stick
that for
the hair.
okay, when I my hair was long. Right now I have a bob and I'm done with the bob. I'm definitely going to grow it out to like collarbone length. But I noticed in a picture I had my hair pulled back and I was like, "Ooh, it's not receding per se, but it just I was like, "Whoa, I feel like my hairline has gone back a little." I guess that's what called
Hmm.
receding. Anyway, so the hairdresser I was going to at the time, she did those curtain bangs, sort of longer curtain bang. I don't know if you call them curtain bangs.
Cute,
So that
cute,
you
cute,
can pull
cute.
some out, and it annoyed the hell out of me to have it hanging like because they're not bang, they're like would be hanging like on my cheek. Um, and that just feels like you want to like a gnat that you want to brush away. So I just don't know what to do. But anyway, that's the dilemma in my life right now. It's not a I don't know. I don't know what
You
to
what
do.
you need to style your hot girl summer hair.
No, I need to just pull it back off my neck and my face when it's hot. I don't want it hanging on my neck. So anyway, that's all I got to say about that.
Well, guys, let's hear from those of you with the bangs. Let us know what you think. I'm a big fan of the bangs. One of the things that bangs does is it protects your forehead from sun exposure, which means you have less wrinkles on your forehead if you wear bangs.
A visor or a hat could do the same. I want someone to write in who who had a really tough decision with that you didn't have bangs and then you had a really tough decision and then you did cut it. I'm talking after a long time. Like I've had no bangs for decades. So I want to know when you finally cut it. I want to hear your horror story or your celebration story. Okay?
All right. You heard it here first, guys. When it comes to cutting edge stuff like bangs or no bangs, this is the place to get that
This is the place
information.
to come. Mhm.
Yep, that's right. Anyway, we have some updates for you for all of our listeners out there in Hot Girl Summerland. It's summer vacation! Yay! Don't you remember summer vacation, Cheryl? Ugh. Isn't summer vacation the best?
It is. Well, if when we were in school, like I didn't like school at all. So it was great not to be
Yeah,
there.
summer vacation is the best. It's like summer jobs, summer trips, your suntan, those like trips after your summer job to like the lake or the pool or the beach, and then just hanging out with your friends and doing things like going out to get like boba or going out for ice
Uh,
cream. I don't know. I
I
just
love
love
both.
You love boba? I can't
I do.
stand frickin' boba.
I love chewy things, so I love boba.
I love
Love
chewy things, but I feel like I'm chewing on snot balls.
it. Oh
They're
my God.
just like unflavorful
Wait.
round balls.
Okay, now I'm not going to be able to eat them because that is a very good description of
It
it. It
really
really is.
is.
It really is. I have to concede. I do. I don't know, Joy, you just ruined it for me. Now I'm gonna think I'm eating a snot ball every
Well,
time I eat
I just don't
it.
like them. I mean, I love mochi. I love the Korean equivalent of mochi, which is called tteok. I love chewy things. I love that glutinous rice flour. But boba to me, oof, I'm sorry. Anyway, on that note, for those of you who listened to us last week, you know that we shouted out an Etsy shop called Glitter and the Girl. They make these resin pet tags and cell phone cases, personalized doodads. And actually, I'm going to get a picture of one of these little tags from Cheryl. And I'm going to put it up on our Instagram.
Oh, yay.
But you guys, Ashley, the owner of the Etsy shop, said that if you guys want to buy something from her Etsy shop, she has given us a promo code. So reach out to me on text or Instagram, um, or Facebook or Twitter or wherever we are, and I will give you that promo code so you can head over to Glitter and the Girl and buy your pet a little resin tag or yourself a personalized glitter cell phone case or one of her
Keychain.
items.
She does
So
keychains.
thank
Hey,
you. Thank you
thank you.
so much, Ashley.
And would make great gifts if you start
Yep.
ordering
And
now.
guys,
Yeah.
just so you know, this is the first time that anybody has offered our listeners a promo code. So I just think that's so exciting.
It's so exciting. This is so fun. So use
Yep.
it, okay? Reach out and
Yep.
get that code and go buy
Get that.
yourself something or buy some gifts or whatever. It's all glittery and so cute. It's gonna be great Christmas gifts. I'm telling you.
It's so stinking cute. And guys, I have another update, and that is for those of you who listen to our episodes on The Golden Bachelor, Jared Gary from Indiana, they have announced, ABC has announced that they have selected who is going to be the Golden Bachelorette for the first time. And the Golden Bachelorette is going to be Joan. Um, Vassos is her last name. And she was the blonde woman who left the show early on because her daughter had a baby and she needed her mom, and so she left to go help her daughter. And I got to tell you, Cheryl, I'm so disappointed because I was hoping it was either going to be um Susan, who I thought was great and also very vivacious. She officiated that farce of a wedding between Jerry Gary and whatever woman he selected. Or
Teresa.
the or the other one who I think her name was Kathy. I was hoping it might be
No,
Kathy.
no, Kathy is the zip your lip. You're not talking about her, right? Faith. Faith was the
Yeah.
first. Oh,
I
her?
wanted it to be yeah, I thought about it. I want somebody who
Uh,
really is gonna shake it up.
no, but well, I hate to disappoint everyone except Francoise because she'll be so happy. We are not going to watch it, and we are not going to talk about it. But we just want to let you know it's coming. If you want to watch it, and then you can write into us and tell us whether it's worth watching. How's that?
Yeah. I'm not gonna watch it, Francoise. I can't do it. I can't do
No,
it because
me
it's a
too.
farce. But I really, really, really would like if there was that, she Francoise talked about the French Golden Bachelor. I would like to watch that.
Well,
I
when is
mean, it
that
would have to be
coming out or
subtitled,
whatever?
of course. First of all, if there's a French bachelor, you know that everyone's going to be smoking during the show. And it doesn't matter if they're 75 or if they're 60 or 50. They're all going to have like the cocktail hour, which involves lots of smokes because the French just look so like, ooh, je ne sais pas with a cigarette. Like, I could care less. And then also, that there's going to be a cheese tray everywhere with like the most delicious cheese. And then they're going to have like le croissant, le pain de chocolat. And I'm going to be there like waiting with bated breath for all the food and all the wine. Who cares? And also, they're going to have like a lot of dudes with their shirts unbuttoned like halfway down their chest with like really good suntans.
Which
And
I
I'll
hate.
bet,
I don't like when guys wear their shirts open
oh no,
past
I'm there
so,
for it. And the other thing,
no,
Cheryl,
gross.
is good and well that the French Bachelorette, they're not going to be waiting, or the French Bachelor, they're not going to be waiting for the fantasy suite. They're going to be heading to Bone Town, like right off the bat. So anyway, if
Well, that's
anyone knows when or where the French Bachelor, Golden Bachelor is airing, please let us know because I'm going to have to watch this.
yeah. Oh, so we're gonna watch that one. Okay. Oh, I get
We
to do.
have to.
I get to pronounce all the French names. Francois is gonna love that.
Ooh, Cheryl, they're going to have names like Jean-Pierre, Jean-Claude Van Damme, and those double names. They're just so like awesome and not American.
Right, I know, and I get to mispronounce all of them.
So moving on to our shout out. Oh, sorry, Cheryl.
No, that's okay. We're gonna leave it. We're gonna leave it on croissant and
Okay.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
All right, moving on to shout outs, guys. I
Yeah.
have to just tell you that I have a shout out again for Target. I went into Target a week ago and I was there with my kid who I was just wandering around the store while she was trying stuff on. And I literally bumped into the cutest $30 black dress.
You bumped
And
into, okay.
I'm not even kidding you. I didn't try it on. I just bought it sight unseen and I brought it home. I tried it on. It fits like a glove. It has this plunging neckline. It is so
Ooh.
cute. It looks like something that I need to wear to a wedding. And I have the black shoes that go with it. So, could someone who's listening to this, if you're going to be getting married, could you invite me to your wedding so that I can wear this dress? Okay?
Oh, you can't wear it to a garden party? To one of your
No,
garden
it's
parties?
black. And black
Okay,
is not a garden party dress.
okay, all right. When you say plunging
But
neckline, how plunging are we talking?
so plunging that I probably won't be able to wear a bra with it.
That was my next question. Ooh.
Scandalous.
Are you gonna
Anyway,
use
I
double
also
tape like the
ooh, yeah,
celebrities
Cheryl,
do?
or Band-Aids.
You don't
Cheryl,
want anything popping out. Mhm.
yeah, Cheryl. Well, I don't mind if it pops out. I just don't want it to like nothing pops anymore, Cheryl. I don't want something
To fall out.
slip out underneath. It's like a rock in a sock. Hey, anyway, speaking of that garden party, I still haven't been invited to the garden party and I still have that dress too. So anybody out there who wants to have a garden party, please invite me because I have that dress and
Or get married.
I'm afraid I'm not going to get to wear that this year
Oh my
because it's
gosh.
white and the
That's
season for white garden party dresses is almost over. I mean, it's very warm here now. So I can't be wearing long sleeve white garden party dresses because now we're headed into sleeveless and sleeveless and sleeveless weather.
right. And mini and
Yeah.
sandals.
Micro minis, flippy flops. You got it.
Flippy flops. That's so funny.
Anyway, thank you, Target, for this little black dress. I gotta tell you, $30. I mean, what a deal. And they also had another dress that I put back, but now I'm kicking myself. That one was like $17. And here's my rationale. I was like, I don't need that dress. I'm already buying a dress for a wedding that I've not been invited to. That I feel like in the summer, everybody should be invited to at least one wedding. I do.
Oh,
I do have a quinceañera I'm going to in August. Maybe I'll wear it to
there you
that.
go. There you go. We don't want
That's
that
like
many
a
divorces. So well, you're talking about it getting warmer. I have to give a shout out to hormone therapy because it's
ooh,
either that or after living in Arizona for 3 years, I finally just acclimated to the heat. But okay,
ding, 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 ding.
in fairness, we are not in the thick of it. It's only May. It's not until July that you want to die. You just want to fall off the face of the earth, and then
What
it
about
goes to July.
August?
July, August, September, October, I am hating life, but I can tell from how I'm handling the 90-degree weather, which is cool for us, everyone, that I'm not as annoyed. Oh, no, here's the thing. I can tell that my hormones must be better or I'm acclimated because the air conditioner that I used to keep at 68 degrees in the house is now 77. And if it's lower than 77, I'll get cold. Yeah, I actually will get cold. You just don't know how shocking this is. I can't, I've never, 77 was like, oh my God, you have the heater on, So I have it set at 77 and sometimes I'm even cold with that. So anyway, shout out to, I don't know. I think it might be hormones that I finally gotten straightened out or just 3 years here.
That's good. I think it has a lot to do with acclimating. We keep ours at 74, Cheryl. And I have to say that it's really nice. I think it's good to smell a little famunda from down under, you know? Like those body smells.
You know what? That should be Gwyneth Paltrow's new scent. Famunda
from down under.
Along with her vagina birthday cake, whatever it is.
Vagina birthday cake. Guys, I'm pretty sure she doesn't have a vagina birthday cake smelling candle, but if she does, you heard it here first. Anyway, rolling on to letters to our listeners. I do not have any letters this week, but I do want to say that we get data, all kinds of data on this podcast. And I have talked about it before. I'm a little bit of a data whore. And I have noticed that the Bible in a Year podcast with our guest John has risen through the ranks and is now episode number 7 in our most popularly listened to episodes. And it's number 1 most popular episode that we recorded with a guest. So if you have not listened to the Bible in a Year, it's from season 1. It aired on December 17th of 2023. So give it a listen. And the reason, I think one of the reasons it's so popular is the Bible in a Year podcast, which is a podcast by a Catholic priest. I call him Father Hottie McHottie Pants. It's like the number 1 highest ranked religious podcast out there. And he's something of a smoke show. So I think that pulls in, although podcasts you listen to, so you can't really see him.
Yeah.
But it's very, very popular among the religious people. So if you're Googling, the Bible in a Year, maybe it'll pull up our podcast. So go listen to it. It's very informational.
Yeah, check it out.
And for a murder podcast to cover the Bible in a Year podcast, I think that's pretty cool. And that's why it's called Murder and Everything
Else.
That's right. Anyway, guys, this week we are headed right back to murder.
You know, I have my murder.
And you know who is in charge of murder. So take it away, Cheryl.
Speaking of murder, so I killed a roach yesterday and it would not die. And so I said, die, die. And that must have been very entertaining for the neighbors. Okay, so this is the last of the uh, triple Peterson, but Bermuda Triangle, whatever you want to call it. What's in a name? Peterson. So first we talked about Michael Peterson and the staircase and his wife being found at the bottom of the stairs in a pool of blood and the possibility that an owl did it. Be quiet, Joy. I still think there's a large population of people out there that still think that that's a possibility. And then we talked about Scott Peterson, whom you can see from the ferry, apparently, in the in the yard when they're out in the yard. Today we're going to talk about Drew Peterson, and I saved him for last in this trifecta of murderers because I think he's an absolute monster. He was he used to be a cop, and there's absolutely no evidence of this. In our disclaimer at the end, we say these are opinions of Joy and myself. We are not accusing anyone, but I just feel that he might have cut some slack on some of the domestic violence calls because of his connection with the police department, just like OJ used to be rubbing elbows with the police and they were kind of like in awe of him. So I'm going to call him Monster, the monster Drew Peterson. And my sources are Wikipedia, eOnline, allthat'sinteresting.com, New York Post. So born on January 5th, 1954, Drew Walter Peterson lived the first part of his life on the straight and narrow. He joined the military after graduating high school in 1972. He married his high school girlfriend, Cheryl Brown, and in 1977 joined the police force in Bolingbrook, Illinois. So we're going to talk about Drew. Drew had 4 marriages, and eventually we're going to focus on the last 2. So as I said, Carol Brown was his first wife. He met Carol Brown in high school and they attended his senior prom together. They married in 1974, but divorced 6 years later in 1980 after Brown learned about Peterson's infidelity. Together, they had sons Stephen Paul Peterson and Eric Drew Peterson. And then his second wife is Vicki Connolly. Peterson married his second wife, Vicki Connolly, in 1982. They operated bar together in Romeoville, Illinois. Connolly alleged a history of domestic violence during her 10-year marriage to Peterson, as did her daughter, who lived in the household until she turned 17. Connolly claims that Peterson threatened to kill her and make it look like an accident. And this is going to be a repeating theme in his marriages. Connolly divorced Peterson after he started dating Kathleen Savio. Their divorce was finalized on February 18, 1992. And you're going to see a pattern with this as well. So he started dating Kathleen Savio while he was still married. He gets divorced, and then Peterson marries Kathleen Savio. She was an accountant. And on May 3rd, 1992, just a few months after his divorce from Connolly, they got married. They had 2 sons, Thomas and Christopher. Their divorce was finalized.
So now he has 4 sons. He has 2 with the first wife and 2 with the third wife.
Right. And he had a stepdaughter, it sounds like, right? Because Vicki says that her daughter attested to domestic violence until she lived while she lived in the household until she turned 17. So that must have been from a previous marriage. But yes, so he has 4 sons from 2 different marriages.
Okay.
So Kathleen Savio. So this is one of the ones that this story is going to focus on, this wife. So their divorce was finalized on October 10th, 2003. It was reported that police were called out to the Peterson house 18 times on domestic disturbance calls. 18 times. Think about how many times that is. It's 18. I mean, 18 times for domestic calls.
Think about all the domestic um instances that they didn't call the cops.
Correct. Exactly. And whenever it comes to domestic violence, I can't help but think of the O.J. Simpson, Nicole Brown Simpson, Ron Goldman case. I can't help but think about it because her recordings to 911 asking for help, and he is going off in the background like some caged lunatic, breaking down her door and all of this, and she could not get any protection. Anyway, Savio's sisters, Kathleen Savio's sisters, suspected that Peterson physically abused her, and in 2001, Savio found a note in their mailbox alleging that her husband had started an affair with a 17-year-old. So he's getting younger and
Whoa.
younger, still, having affairs. So Savio and Peterson, they subsequently separated, and 2 years later, Peterson married the woman he'd been cheating with, Stacy Peterson. Are we keeping this straight? I know
But
there's going to be
now Stacy is 19.
correct. She's all of 19. So you see
So
the
how
two.
old is he?
We're going to get into that. Try to keep the names and the dates straight because it kind of goes back and forth because of things that happen. So, all the while, as their divorce proceedings turned ugly, his proceedings with Kathleen Savio began to fear for her life. For years, she told anyone who would listen that her ex-husband, Drew Peterson, might hurt her. And get this, she told her sister, he's going to kill me and it's going to look like an accident. This is exactly what Nicole Brown Simpson said to her sister
Wow.
about OJ. On
I
March
didn't know
11th,
that.
yep. Can you imagine knowing that that's going to happen? He's going to kill me and he's going to make it look like an accident. Well, she didn't say that about the accident. No, Nicole said he's going to kill me and he's going to get away with it, which he did
Uh,
until the civil trial. So on March 11, 2002, Savio filed for an emergency order of protection against her husband. Peterson had threatened her on the phone and run after her. Drew wants me dead, she wrote in the report, which was later dropped. And if he has to, he will burn the house down just to shut me up. According to the Chicago Tribune, about 4 months later, on July 5th, Savio said Peterson had come to her home and threatened her. He asked her if she was okay, if she was afraid, and she told him she was. She finally told him to go, get out, or do what he came for, which was to kill her. And he said, "Okay, where do you want it?" And she told him, "In the head." He took out his knife, but then said he could not hurt her. The report also noted, however, that Peterson claimed that they merely talked and that Salvio had tried to seduce him, and in the end, nothing came of it. Such a piece of shit.
okay, I just have to stop right here. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I just have to say
Yeah, go
that
ahead.
I find it a real sign. Okay. First of all, women can be women can be misogynists just as much as men can. But if you go to your husband and say, why were you sleeping with or talking to or having a relationship with an ex or another woman and blah blah blah, and the man says, well, she was coming on to me. If you're a woman and you believe that, like, that excuse, which is a common excuse that a lot
Ugh,
of womenizers like to throw around, and this goes both ways, just remember that uh so think about patterns in people's lives. So for example, if you're married to someone like this guy was, obviously he liked to step outside of his marriage, he liked to sleep around. So for him, I guess he felt like it was a really plausible excuse to say she came on to me. But a lot of times if you look at people's patterns, his pattern of behavior is he likes to step out on his wives and sleep around with other women.
and
So
then
to
marry
blame,
that one. And
yeah,
then
and
he
so to
married.
blame a woman, anyway, I just have to say, don't always be so quick to throw that woman under the bus. I
Well,
get so annoyed with men or women who cannot look at patterns of behavior.
Well, that's what a lot of sexual assault cases are, that no, it was consensual. That's what the abusers excuses. And then they kill these, and then the women aren't there because they've killed them and they are not there to speak for themselves. So, and
Exactly.
it's very hard to, and they say that because their DNA is on the woman, their semen is in them, and the only excuse for the guy is to say, well, it was consensual. And again, if they've murdered, or even if they haven't murdered, even if the woman is still around, then it's a he said, she said thing, you know? Yeah, it's fucked up. Yeah, so he says that she tried to seduce him. So that November, Savio also wrote to the assistant state's attorney, and this is heartbreaking. She described several altercations with Peterson and wrote, "He knows how to manipulate the system, and his next step is to take my children away or kill me instead. I haven't received help from the police here in Bolingbrook, and I'm asking for your help now before it's too late. Please return my call or write with answers to my questions." Then on March 1st, 2004, Kathleen Savio was found dead in her bathtub with a 1-inch cut on the back of her head. And though the tub was dry, her hair was wet. Police figured she slipped and fell, and at some point the water had drained from the tub, and her death was ruled as an accidental drowning.
Sure.
And the ex-husband that she had so feared had an alibi. His new wife, Stacy, claimed that he had been with her. And the story of Kathleen Savio's death might have ended there, except that Stacy Peterson went missing in 2007. So this is his fourth wife, Stacy Ann Peterson. At age 49,
who he started dating at 17.
While he was married to Kathleen, who is now dead. Stacy Ann Peterson. At age 49, Peterson married 19-year-old hotel receptionist Stacy Ann Kales on October 18, 2003, and she subsequently changed her last name to Peterson. Stacy's mother, Christy, listen to this weird coincidence. Stacy's mother, Christy, had previously been reported missing in 1998, although the two cases are not believed to be linked. But her mom goes missing and then she goes missing. I mean, what are the chances in one family? I mean, I think that's so weird. Talk about wow. Described as a troubled teenager, Kales began dating Peterson at age 17 with her father's permission, while Peterson was still married to Kathleen Savio, which I mentioned before. The couple lived less than a mile from the home he formerly shared with Savio. Together, they had 2 children, Anthony and Lacey. So their daughter's name was Lacey Peterson.
Whoa.
How freaking weird is that? This is not the Lacey, of the last Peterson story. So Stacy then legally adopted Savio's children and treated them like they were her own.
On October can I just interject right here?
Of course, interject.
If you're 17, you should be acting like you're 17.
Should be at the mall.
If you have to get permission to date somebody, then guess
49.
what? Yeah, guess what? It doesn't matter. If you're 17, there's like a 99.9999999% chance that you act like you're 17. Hang out with other 17-year-olds and have part-time job and drive your car too fast and go have dinner at Chipotle. And I'm sorry if you feel like I'm throwing you all under the bus in the same category, but stop. Come on. What do you do? Just like if you're 49, don't be hanging around 17-year-olds. It's like Creepville Central. I don't care if you're 49, 39, 29, or 19. When you're 17, you're 17. Okay?
Yeah.
God.
I don't know what this is.
I'm so annoyed. And with adults who think it's like a 17-year-old, well, she's almost 18. It's like, get a brain.
Well, I'm really disturbed by this bit about her father giving permission. How can you, as a parent, give permission for your 17-year-old daughter to date a 49-year-old man? I don't
I
even understand that, but I didn't want to
I
go
don't
off
know.
that rabbit hole.
And if you're listening to this podcast and you've gotten to this part and you know somebody who fits this category, please don't write in and tell us because we don't want to know. Because if you do write in and tell us, we'll have to talk shit about you. All right.
Exactly. You have been warned. So on October 28, 2007, Stacy Ann Peterson disappeared. Drew Peterson claimed that he'd woken up at 11 a.m. that day and she was simply gone. He later said that he'd spoken
And
to her.
I call bullshit. I've never slept till 11 and I'm a few years older than 49.
Well, he later said that he'd spoken to her at 9 p.m. that night and that she'd told him she was leaving him. I believe she's with someone else, Peterson told the Chicago Tribune, but I believe she's safe. And also, she left her two kids behind. She did not take, the sons weren't missing, just Stacy. I find it very hard to believe. I'm not saying it's impossible for a mother to just. I actually have come across some stories, some true crime stories of where mothers actually did leave. It's very rare, but it does happen where they walk out the door and they want to leave their life behind. But we know that that didn't happen here. So he says he believes she's safe and that she probably left with someone else. Her disappearance, however, rang alarm bells for investigators working on his ex-wife, Kathleen Savio's case. So state's attorney James Glasgow told reporters on October 31st, 2007, his office was taking another look at Savio's death. 2 weeks later, investigators labeled Stacy Peterson's disappearance as a potential homicide. They also exhumed Kathleen Savio's body to re-examine her remains, and this time her death didn't look so accidental. Bruises covered the front of her body and her back was extensively scraped, the abrasions inflicted within an hour of her death. The abrasions could not be from slipping down a smooth tub. The back of Savio's head also bore an inch-long deep wound, resulting from a blow hard enough to split her scalp, but not open it down to her skull. I'm convinced she was the victim of a murder, former New York City Chief Medical Examiner Michael Bodden told the Associated Press after examining Savio's body. He determined that Savio had been killed after a struggle and then placed in the tub. Several leads. Remember there was no water in the tub, but her hair was wet.
Yep.
Several leads were followed in the investigation of Stacy Peterson's disappearance by Illinois State Police with FBI involvement. 4 search warrants were issued and carried out on Peterson's property following Stacy's disappearance, including the seizure of his firearms and both his and Stacy's vehicles. Peterson announced his plans to retire as a Bolingbrook police sergeant effective December 2007. On November 15, the Bolingbrook Police Pension Board voted to allow Peterson to collect his pension of $6,067 per month, stating current law gave them no option as he had not been convicted of a crime. Rick Mims, Peterson's longtime friend, admitted that he and Peterson bought 3 blue plastic containers from a cable company where they both worked part-time in 2003 and provided photos of these containers to police. Peterson's stepbrother, Thomas Morphy, who has a history of drug and alcohol addiction, attempted suicide 2 days after allegedly helping Peterson carry a plastic container from his Bolingbrook home to his SUV. He attempted suicide, fearing he may have helped dispose of Stacy's body. Neighbors reported seeing Peterson and another man hauling a 55-gallon barrel large enough to hold a person out of the house shortly after Stacy's disappearance. Cassandra Kales, Stacy's sister, said she wanted Peterson to take a lie detector test about his knowledge of a blue container that she saw in his garage 2 days before, but his defense attorney claimed Peterson never had a blue container. Also, lie detector tests are they're not
faulty.
Yeah,
faulty.
and they're not admissible was the word I was looking for. They're not admissible in a trial because they're not foolproof. So I don't even know why we have them around. So Drew Peterson, and this is why I call him a monster, because I have watched many video documentaries on him, and I've watched videos of his interviews, and I he is just a monster because he relished the media attention. Seemingly unconcerned about his wife's whereabouts, he quipped on the Today Show in February 2008. I'm not trying to be funny here, but Stacey Peterson would ask me for a divorce on a regular basis, and it was based on her menstrual cycle. So
Wait, I
that should
have a
tell you,
question. Why was he on the Today Show?
because he would do all these interviews, and at this point, she's just missing. So
Uh,
yeah, and he this is what I'm talking, and he'd be he's so go out and watch these videos. He's so smug in these interviews because he said that he's going to get away with, and I'm sorry, but he did have, well, he was a former police officer, so he has knowledge, right, about how to do things, and maybe, you have more, like, you have more knowledge about what to cover up, maybe, or whatever. But he would be so smug in these interviews. It was horrible, because even if it was true that she ran off with somebody, you wouldn't be acting like that.
right.
And so now he's saying she would ask him for a divorce on a regular basis, and it was based on her. It was when she had her period. Such a
God.
dick. Okay, so he also struck up a new relationship, this time with Christina Rains. And according to Rains, who left him in 2009, Drew talked about how he could easily snap someone's neck. Who says that? No one says that. No
Yeah.
one says that. But in 2009, Drew Peterson stopped laughing. On May 7th, he was arrested and indicted for Kathleen Savio's murder. And 3 years later, he was found guilty. Prosecutors had no physical evidence tying Peterson to Savio's death and no witnesses placing him at the scene, so they relied on hearsay. Listen to this whole section, not that you're not listening, but this blew me away. And I will tell you that with all the things that I watched throughout the years, I'm sure I heard this, but I didn't take note of it. So when I was doing the research, I'm like, holy hell. So they relied on hearsay, statements Savio made to family members and in a written statement to police before she died. Remember, she wrote to the state's attorney asking for help. So they have
Yeah.
all of this in writing, right? So and they had hearsay statements from Stacey Peterson, who made comments to her pastor and a divorce lawyer before she vanished.
Wow.
Hearsay is any information reported by a witness that is not based on the witness's direct knowledge. The Illinois court's ruling, written by Justice Mary Lane Thies, found proper use of hearsay, typically forbidden in criminal proceedings because it can't be challenged, under a legal doctrine of forfeiture by wrongdoing. Illinois adopted a hearsay law in 2008 tailored to Drew Peterson's case, dubbed Drew's Law, which assisted in making some of the evidence admissible. Okay, if any of you watch trials, you know how they're objecting? They object, they're like, object, Your Honor,
Okay.
hearsay. So
Yeah.
from what I've watched, let's say John Smith is on trial. Okay. I can, as a witness, I can say what John Smith told me, but I cannot, on the witness stand, I cannot say what someone else told me. You can about the defendant, but not someone else. I can only,
Right.
it's very tricky. It's like you're just handcuffed. Whereas when I watched the Oscar Pistorius, I know I'm going off, but Oscar Pistorius's trial in South Africa, when he shot, remember, Reba through the door, he
Yeah.
doesn't have legs from his knees down. Their court system is so different. They just talk. They talk. It's not like you're handcuffed to answer only the question and all this hearsay stuff and whatever. Okay, so they adopted this law specifically tailored for this monster's case. This is how much they wanted to get this guy. Peterson's attorney, Stephen A. Greenberg, said in a statement, the court's decision shows that Illinois has one set of laws for the general public and another for Peterson. Greenberg said, an appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court was likely. And after a number of appeals, on September 21st, 2017, the Illinois Supreme Court upheld the conviction. Peterson was sentenced to 38 years in prison for the murder of his third wife. On February 9, 2015, Peterson was charged with attempting to put a hit on James Glasgow, the lead prosecutor in his murder trial, after a fellow inmate tipped off prosecutors to the plan and wore a wire to capture evidence against Peterson.
Oh my God.
In May 2016, he was found guilty of solicitation of murder and solicitation of murder for hire, and he was subsequently sentenced to an additional 40 years in prison. He got more years for trying to off the lead prosecutor than he did for the murder of his
Killing
third
his
wife.
wife.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
But this is crazy. From prison, or from jail anyway, he's not free. He tried to hire someone to kill the prosecutor. This is how arrogant this guy's. You have to be so arrogant. I mean, he was incarcerated at Menard Correctional Center in Chester, Illinois, but later moved to the Federal Correctional Institution, Terre Haute, in Terre Haute, Indiana. Within a month, he was attacked by another prisoner who hoped to sell his belongings on eBay. In December 2019, Peterson was released from federal custody and transferred to a state facility outside of Illinois. His location is not being disclosed for security reasons. I love how we protect murderers in prison. Anyway, in 2022, in Joliet, Illinois, crews were back out searching again. I just watched this video after Stacy Peterson's sister, Cassandra Kills, told police she had found a skeleton using advanced sonar. Kills said that she has been searching for years using more and more advanced sonar equipment, and that in May she found a skeleton. I had live sonar, full flesh female figure, my sister in the water. She thinks it's her sister. The currents, the wakes, the buoyancy, all the stuff I studied. I figured it out with my better equipment and education where she washed up, and I'm not going to stop. If you want it right, if you want it done right, you have to do it yourself. She alerted police to her findings, and they searched the area but left the river empty-handed.
Interesting.
So listen to this. That's why I called him a monster, because he just, over the years, watching him has bugged me so much. So recently, in a New York Post interview published February 27th of this year, 2024, Drew Peterson joked to a veteran journalist, "Unless you marry me, I won't kill you." When pressed, yeah. And the journalist was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. When pressed by the journalist to come clean about what he did, Peterson didn't deny involvement in the deaths of his spouses. He didn't deny it, but instead he says he doesn't want his children to believe that he killed their mothers. Wow. And that brings us, to this year. He's just such a smug asshole. And so Stacy Peterson is missing to this day.
Interesting.
Which is very, very sad. He is just a monster. He killed his third wife, and the fourth one is missing. And unless they can find her body, although people have been convicted without the victims' bodies being found, it has been done.
Yes, they have.
But with 38 plus 40 years on top of that, I guess we don't have to worry about him walking the earth and harming any more people. But it's very, very sad that Stacy hasn't been found. She has 2 sons, and he got away with it.
Sad. That is really sad. It's so interesting. One of the when he said that thing on the Today Show, I'm not trying to be funny here, but Stacy Peterson would ask me for a divorce on a regular basis, but it was based on her menstrual cycle. And just kind of like how you described him being very arrogant and saying things that were completely, completely ridiculous. I will say that I think sometimes that when people have committed heinous crimes and gotten away with it, they kind of believe that because they've gotten away with it, they're untouchable, and they maybe kind of have this godlike complex, like, I can do all these crimes and not get in trouble, because it it's like a reoccurring theme.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like it it's like it reminds me of like it reminds me of the things that young kids will do and say just to get the things that they want.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they're naughty and they get found out, they'll a lot of times say whatever so that they can get out of punishment. It reminds me of that, but of course, I think it requires like a sociopathic personality or something. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
of course, she wasn't asking for a divorce every time she had
She
a
had her
period,
period.
unless of course being married to him was a nightmare, which it sounds like based on the domestic abuse from his first two marriages that he wasn't a very nice person to be married to.
That's an understatement.
But I think it's interesting that he says, "I'm not trying to be funny
To be
here."
funny.
But then he cracks kind of a joke that seems so outlandish as a joke that no one's going to believe that, you know? But at the
No,
same time, he has the balls to say that when he knows good and well that he's offed his third and fourth wife.
yeah, no, he and to tell the journalist, "Don't worry, I won't kill you unless I marry you." It's so arrogant. It's so flippant and so arrogant that
Yeah.
Stacy's family must just see, like, I don't know. I mean, this has been decades, right? It's 2007. She went missing. I don't
Yeah.
know how you come to peace. You have to find peace somehow to move on with your life, right? I mean, how do you
Right.
go on living unless you find some, I'm talking about, I'm had, like I said on another episode, I have a really hard time with forgiveness. I know that it's like, to set you free and all that stuff. I'm not talking about them forgiving him, but I wonder how when your loved one goes missing and you know who had a hand in it and they are not being brought to justice, how you come to terms with that to continue to live. It must be, imagine someone that you love dearly missing for 17 years. That's, and you know
Yep.
who did it. You know who did it. Crazy.
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's also, I'm so intrigued by people's inability, even when they've like, I'm curious, Cheryl, when he went to prison, did he ever admit to anything? Like, he went to prison for 38 years for the murder of his third wife. But like, did he admit to anything at all? Did he say he did? I mean, there's got to be some they have to have something that pins him to this murder.
I guess I know because she's never been found. Now, what did I say that he did say to his cellmate or whatever? But I think it was the hit on the prosecutor, which is so freaking crazy. You're trying to orchestrate that from behind bars. I
I
mean,
know.
really, seriously, this is not a TV show. This is someone that actually tried to have the lead prosecutor killed. Um,
It's pretty crazy.
uh, yeah, I haven't seen anything about him, you know, like spilling the beans to a cellmate or it seems like they're trying to keep him safe, so they moved him somewhere and his because he was attacked. So he was moved, and then his location is being kept, secret because for security reasons. It's like
Right.
let the mofo be out in the general public.
What
Why are
about
we
the
spending?
yard?
Yeah, like why are we? Is that horrible of me? I'm a horrible person, but I'm like, why are we spending money to do this? The guy is a monster, and some
Yeah,
his
you're not a horrible person. I will say that I've heard a lot of people say similar things. Um and I think that the thing that we have to remember is that, it's like, for example, I was explaining to someone the other day that, like, if you show up in the ER or at urgent care, whatever, and you're sick, so for example, here's what I was saying. When the ambulance shows up to the scene of an automobile accident, let's say that 5 cars are involved and 3 people have died, and they take everybody in the ambulance who's alive or injured to the hospital, and then the doctors find out, oh, the guy that you just stitched up and, gave medicine to and helped save his life, he was the driver and he's drunk. And he's
Mm-hmm.
killed 3 people, and he's caused a pileup of 5 cars, and there were 3
Mm-hmm.
children involved, and there was an elderly person, and all of these people have parents and grandparents and uncles and aunts and children and nephews and cousins. But the doctor obviously is not going to refuse treatment. Just
Right,
like
right.
if someone ends up in the ER and they're a pedophile, it's not like it says on the top of the chart, "Hi, my name's John. I'm a
Sex offender.
pedophile."
Yeah.
Yeah, or I'm a
Yeah.
registered sex offender. "Hi, I'm Roger." No. It
Right.
The doctor treats all of the patients regardless as to, what brought them there or what illness they have or what, you know, uh, you know, illegal activity they've engaged in.
So are you
So
saying that you're likening it to what the system does? What
no,
the
but I'm
system is?
saying he's gone to prison for a crime. He's already been tried and sentenced and held accountable for his crimes. He's now serving 38 years in prison for the murder of his third wife, and then additionally another 40 years for trying to solicit a murder for hire situation for his judge or whatever, like the
No,
other
the
prosecutor.
prosecutor.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
lead prosecutor. But he's still entitled while in prison to security that all of the prisoners would have so that they're not being killed by another inmate or somebody in the yard. You know what I mean? Because he, the act of him being in prison is the penance for this crime he's committed. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So he's still entitled. I understand, and you're saying he's a monster and he's a horrible person. He's a liar, a killer, a wife beater, he dates minors, there's all these crimes that he's involved in, but he's already been held to account for his crimes, and he's serving the sentences that are for those crimes. Um he's still not like he's you know, do we continue to punish him further, or does
Yes.
he just get to
Oh, I'm sorry.
serve his time? Yeah. No, I understand. I
Well,
understand.
because
And
here.
I have to say, um, which is probably why he was a liar to begin with. Was he lied because he knew that if he fessed up and said I killed 2 women and I this and that he would have been an even less popular person, you know?
I, yeah, and because his case was so much in the media that somebody wanted to kill him for the notoriety, right? He wanted to sell his stuff on eBay. Um, I don't know. I just have a really the only
I have
thing.
a really hard time with people who just, I don't know, there's got to be something that happens when you're a little kid, you learn that you have to sometimes stand and face the music. And I feel like a high percentage of people in prison or people who get caught with their pants down just don't never learned how to say, yeah, you know what? I fucked up. I did something bad. And now I have to
Pay for it.
take my and pay for it and take my punishment.
Yeah,
It's so interesting. Or their immediate response is this defensiveness, like, but I was backed into a corner, but she was a horrible wife.
she's tried to seduce me.
Yeah, it's so interesting to me. It's like, and again, I feel like that's probably part of the, sociopathic behavior, the compulsive lying.
Yeah,
don't
I'm
know.
telling you, watch some of these videos of him. You will understand why I
Nope,
dislike him
I'm
so
not
hard.
doing it.
You can't make me. I love when
You
you say
can't
that.
make
You
me.
can't make me. The
I
only
have
reason,
I have enough problems sleeping at night.
the only reason that I am thankful that they are protecting, because they are human beings, so the because one of the things that really bothers me is when I hear these stories of innocent people being imprisoned for decades. They've lost decades of their lives. And thankfully, some of them get out from, because of things like the Innocence Project and things like that. But I wouldn't want, that would be horrible if something happened to them in prison and they were not guilty,
Right.
So, but anyway, I don't know.
I
I
don't
say,
know, Cheryl. This one was a doozy. I gotta be honest, I'd never even heard of this guy. So
really, I can't believe it.
yeah,
That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for, Joy. Is to
sometimes,
wreck
Cheryl,
your
when
sleep.
you dig up these murder cases, I think about one of my favorite sayings, which is, for those of you living under a rock, and I think, where the fuck have I been? Have I been living under a rock?
Yeah, because this was widely publicized, just as much as Scott Peterson. Yeah.
Just so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this was a crazy tale of crime, murder and crime. But you know what else is a crime?
What's that, Joy?
That we are out of time.
That is a crime. Well, thank you for listening, everyone. And don't complicate your day. All creativity, commentary, and opinions in this podcast belong to Cheryl and Joy. Music composed and mixed by Gabe McKeon. Logo and merch created and managed by Kevin Callan. Podcast editing and advertising by Joy McKeon. Legal representation provided by John Bojezek. Please like, subscribe, follow, and listen. You can listen to us on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, you can find us on Instagram and YouTube, and you can email us at murderandeverythingelse@gmail.com.
Bye, fishes.